What's good? You rocking with your boys, All Rights Reserved. Now we finna get into something a little different. The way we're going to start this out, we're going to revisit the blood in the car scene. I have pictures that shows the car was clean after the incident and different things going on. And this brings up another commenter's thing, but we're not going to harp on what they said. Commenter below lists what you got to say. I don't remember whether it was between two other commenters I'm thinking of, but what was one of the subjects that they said was this: there wasn't a flash. So on the video, we see two men with guns, but we don't see a flash from a normal gun that's picked up by a camera. I fully agree. But what we're going to talk about again is the bloodless instance and how it would have been if this was occurred that way. You rocking with your boy TheCzarr, All Rights Reserved. And right now, this one goes to Sue UK. We have coming up what's going to happen, and we also have another commenter from all the way from VA named Keisa E. This one is going to be respect to Keisa E, who's just hit me up recently, and then we'll get into Sue UK. Hashtag CommenterNation, hit that like button, show respect to what we got going on here. Now, the way blood works, and they're saying very little blood, but we're talking blood regardless. It wouldn't be a bloodless crime scene, again, as we spoke, and the blood would have been profusely because of the area, not because of the weapon. That's what you guys are getting mistaken. People are like, oh, if you used the 22 caliber, it wouldn't have done this, it wouldn't have done that. But ultimately, understand the way we're building the narrative so you get where we're going with this. It's not about that. It's literally about the area where the shot happened. So if someone was shot in a particular area, they'd bleed more than usual. The neck is one of those places. Being hit in a major artery or around the neck area is going to make you bleed profusely regardless, because of the fact that artery runs from the top to the bottom in your body. You got to get how things work and how the body looks. That is how we can conclude that something's not right about this ultimately. So you get where I'm headed. Now, Keisa E brought up a good point. It would have smeared, there would have been some blood in the car. It wouldn't have been impossible. Now that we've seen the video, doesn't it seem like it was put together to show us that it was arranged in a way to have him in the car the way his body was found? Yes, I agree. I fully agree with that. And ultimately, that's part of my problem with it. But here's what we got to understand. We don't know, because we haven't seen the full video, since investigators don't want to release it the way they should. So that's on their part, and that's for them to come up with the full video. Because here's the thing, if you run the full video, edits will be more obvious. That's why I send snippets. Whenever a full video is ran, you can cut out time, you can get rid of time, but it's noticeable. So what they did was show snippets, because if I show snippets, I won't have to have an excuse for why certain time periods were skipped, because I just say I showed only the parts that involve the suspects. That's also the problem, because if we see the full video, we can validate the witness Victor's story, and we'll get the Victor. But right now, I'm on commenter recognition right now. So yes, I agree with you, Keisha. All the way from VA, CommenterNation, Virginia, stand up. Hit that like button. Hop down here and hit that like button. Show respect to the channel. One of your own has come up with a good point. It would have at least been smeared. Whether it was on the hoodie, whether it was wherever, it wouldn't have been bloodless or very little blood, even if you want to say that's the case for those who keep repeating that to me like I don't know what you're talking about. That's my point. You have to look at the big picture and look at many other crime scenes and how shootings occur, let alone the weapon that was used. Why'd he run down with that large weapon and then one of them shot? Because at the beginning, investigators said both men shot, but now it was just a 22 that killed him and one of them shot. So that's not making sense. And they presented the video in a way to show it looked as a struggle. Maybe there was some type of struggle while he was in the car. Again, being shot, that does not dictate. So you're telling me there was a live body in the car. He would have bled, period. That's why I told you not to release the video, because you gave yourself away. He would have bled, period. There's no discussion about that. Especially if he was struggling and fighting back, he would have bled profusely if someone gets injured in the neck by a weapon of some sort. It could have been a knife. If someone gets stabbed in the neck, they're going to bleed everywhere. So if they get shot, what you think is going to happen? Let's use common sense here. Let's be real. That is why your video seems edited in a way to show things to fit to the story that was written. But again, we don't know if whoever wrote it was really with Broward County or they had other motives. So again, now that we know that shaky stories are happening and edits are apparent, even when we look at the video, and I have some professionals that have looked at your small snippet, you shouldn't have released anything. I tried to be real with you. I told you I'd rather you not release anything very early on in the series, yet you got cocky and you wanted to do it to try and prove a point to TheCzarr All Rights Reserved, but that's not going to work that way. You should know that I'm well more educated than that, as well as my viewers. CommenterNation, stand up, hit that like button. Hit that like button if you're smarter than what you're being delivered, or if you're smarter than what people hold over your head as you not being intelligent enough. Think strategically. What's the sensibility in it? How many people are really working together? I probably got people around me that I know that are working to some degree to try and cover things up. Who knows? But ultimately, here's what we do know. Injuries to the neck cause profuse bleeding. There's no way to avoid it. They weren't strategic killers to shoot him in some way. So then again, it brings up a question if he was really shot with a gun or if he was shot up with something. Now, if something was shot up into him, he would not have bled like he did. I would agree with that. So if it wasn't a 22 and it was a gun that shot drugs into him, I agree that allegedly using that viewpoint, he would have bled as we see. That's my point. There's many different avenues that can be taken on this, but one about him not bleeding, I don't think that's an avenue that can be taken unless there was an alternative means other than using a 22 caliber to do so. Now that's my point, and that's ultimately the point that a lot of people are trying to avoid. But that's okay, because these sort of things come out and eventually show a true plan and a true motive behind it. Now, we talked about, was there a cue or a pass given to the passenger, and why'd they both run down on one man, which is absolutely the point. Why'd you both run down on one man versus one on each side, which would have been more strategic, regardless of the time constraints? And it really didn't seem like you cared about time struggling there with a bag, instead of just shooting them off the jump. But you're saying he didn't give the bag up. But then, allegedly, one of the other suspects asked, why'd you shoot him? Why'd you kill him? Isn't that true? Is that not what was said in the beginning? And we can't get close enough to see neoprene masks. Here's another thing. Here's another debunk to the story. And this is rocking with you, Keisha. If they used black neoprene masks and two men went into the store to make sure everything was okay, why didn't they show them walking out with the neoprene mask? The black neoprene mask that they claimed was used instead of the red ones. Because to me, in that video, it looked like normal mask. I didn't see the neoprene element dealing with the mask the attackers were wearing anyway. That was claimed. Is there any answers for that? And that's the thing. We don't see anyone exiting. We just see people going in. So is that a motive for why they would not show the exit video? Because they knew that was not one of the factors that were elements in this case. That would make lots of sense to me. You wouldn't want to show them not coming out with the mask you claim they were wearing, but at the same time, you wanted to show the act of something going down. And that's where you played into the hand of critical thinkers who were really reading the story you put out and then looking at what you released. Another mistake. So ultimately, if it looks like anything, we should see a couple investigators disappearing in the near future because they messed up. Whoever was involved, they didn't plan it right. So I look forward to that being another story I'll begin talking about. Investigators who were allegedly affiliated or different things disappears off the face of the earth because they lied and said different things that have been caught up. This is very serious. You guys lie in a report, you tell half truths, or you tell the story a different way. That's a crime, because you're knowingly telling something that's not true in a way that's not true to make yourself seem validated, let alone you implicate other people when you get hemmed up and think that you get a pass for doing so. No, that's not how it works. Yes, there should have been blood to some extent, unless a 22 was not the weapon of choice. It could have been another gun, because allegedly we know there were suspects caught with a decent amount of alleged flakka on them, which overdosing was the very look in his eyes, the look of his lips, and different things other commenters has mentioned. So was this a potential method that was used that was not explicitly put into the case? If that is the truth, it will come out in the toxicology, in the autopsy, which we have yet to receive. So what are you actually saying to us? What are you trying to show us, Broward? What was showing this video for but showing multiple contradictions in your entire persona of how you took on this case? This is very questionable. This is, and commenters see it. They saw it off the rip. On my earlier videos, they were saying this off the rip. So you felt like you could gain some clout back, but for one, you should have just came out and told what happened and then switched up the narrative of individuals in it. But now you're trying to look at body builds and how slender or skinny or tall someone is to indicate who was actually involved in this case, which is another problem. You guys don't understand. This goes deeper. If they're able to indict these men off of these simple things, they could say it was Joe down the street or Rob up the steps and say it looks like him, even though they're wearing a mask. We want to press these charges without gunpowder residue, without some type of DNA evidence. This is going to change law. You don't understand. The picture's that big. It could change law and the way that they indict criminals. They can just put a random criminal in they never liked and say it was him. This is my problem with the way the system's running. What's the true evidence? Who really did the investigation? Who was really there looking and could credibly say it was these men? Well, would it not be Victor who claimed he saw it? Would it not be some other witnesses who claimed they were around the area when it happened? Why aren't they on trial? And we're going to get to it. We're going to describe that. But yes, Keisha E, shout to you. Hashtag CommenterNation. Hit that like button. We about to go in. I got another one coming up from Sue UK, where we're going to get into another subject. All rights reserved.